This is the Mike LiPetri Show. Nassau County property taxes are way too high. That's why you need Reassessment and Evaluation Services, Inc., the #1 tax grievance provider that offers personal service and high success rates. Grieve your taxes now before the deadline on March 1st, 2024. Call today for more info, 516-742-5180, or apply online at reassessmytaxes.com. Regal Customs Brokers, the import community's ally. Whether you're a freight forwarder, importer, or individual, they clear your cargo through customs faster than any other broker around. At Regal Customs Broker, everyone gets the royal treatment. Go to regalbrokers.com for more information today. Well, looky here. We have with us on the Mike LiPetri Show, Taylor Darling, the New York State Assembly member and also candidate for the 6th Senatorial District for the New York State Senate. Welcome to the show, Taylor.
Mike, I could not be more excited to be here with you. This is such an amazing experience already. I love this setup.
I love that you're here to enjoy this setup. You know, I made sure to do it just for you.
It looks like it was just done, and I love it. This is the standard of Mike LiPetri, ladies
always
and
high
gentlemen.
standard.
Yes, always. Excellence. Standards of excellence.
Well, that's what it is. And what is it for you as a Assemblymember? Excellence for the 18th,
you
right?
got it. There you go. Branding and hashtagging, it works.
Hashtag excellence for the 18th. For those who don't know, that is Taylor's Assembly District that now she is leaving to run for the New York State Senate, which is going to be super exciting in 2024. We're going to get to that. But I really want to talk about your advocacy as a New York State Assembly member in the State Assembly for Long Island. You've been a true advocate for the people. You never cared about Democrat, Republican, Independent. All you cared about was your district. You're somebody that all I heard, when I heard you speak, was about my constituents, the people I represent, the people that rely on you, the people that bestowed their trust in you when they voted for you. Mm-hmm. And I know you've been a real advocate for much of your district in different ways. And something that's been at the top of the agenda has been parity in state funding, making sure that Long Island gets its fair share. Can you talk more about that? Like why you even feel like that, how it's been up in the state? Like what makes you want that parity?
I recently came up with a little quote that was, Long Island is always expected to pay, but we don't always have a say. And I feel like that...
I love that.
It came to me and I said, I couldn't put it any better because there is this misconception that everyone in Long Island is wealthy. We have multiple cars. We have, per pupil student budgets of about $38,000 per child, no matter the community you live in. We are able to spend all of this disposable money we have. We retire with lots of money. Our children have lots of money. We all own multiple homes. I don't know that Long Island. And for the 5 people who probably do live like that, God bless you. But most of us are middle class, and we are fighting to maintain at least that status and some semblance of a great life out here on the island. So for me, just changing that narrative and educating people about the communities and the individuals that live here and that we do have needs. There are disparities and inequities in healthcare and access to quality education, infrastructure, community development. We have those inequities, we have those disparities, and making sure that whenever I'm in the room, in the supermajority, in the New York State Assembly, that I am paying attention to everything that's happening from the Hudson Valley to the city and how those policies and funding allocations impact us as Long Islanders.
But how is it as an Assembly member where you're working with so many people from all over? There's 150 Assembly members in the State Assembly, and a lot of them come from the city. So how is it that you make sure your voice is heard on that subject?
I would say building relationships. And I have built relationships in the darndest ways, and it's been very organic. So we are all away from our families, making major sacrifices to serve our districts in the state of New York. I've had so many individuals who've experienced loss, which I have a very close relationship with, unfortunately, having lost both my parents. So I've developed really unique relationships with individuals, especially individuals who serve for a long time and sit on committees. So whenever we get that announcement that someone died, especially during session or someone's lost a loved one, I always hone in on those experiences because I'm like, what does that feel like to be in Albany? And you can't even stop because that's how dedicated my colleagues are. they stop, they take care of their families, but we know the important work we do. So it's right back to business. And I'm just like, whoa. So I've made a lot of friends and built relationships through that. Delegation trips, getting to know people outside of the chambers and what we do, getting to know each other in that space. And also, weirdly enough, my legislative Bible study. It is bipartisan, and I have made some really great friends with really, really, really wonderful leaders within the New York State Assembly. So developing those relationships, taking the time to learn about what's important to each and every individual member has gained me access where people just want to help me. They want to be a resource to anything that I'm doing. And I am fighting for things that are similar to what they're fighting for. So our fights are aligned, and they've had a chance to get to know me as a human, and they know exactly as you stated earlier, I am here to serve the district that I represent and the great state of New York.
Do you think it's also because so many people can tell or see your authenticity?
Exactly.
Like it's just who you are.
Exactly.
You're not there for any hidden agenda. There's no ruse. It's just this is me.
Exactly.
This is me, baby.
Exactly. It's this one face. And for me, the biggest selling point, because I unseated a 30-year incumbent. So like my nickname around the block was the Dragon Slayer. So a lot of people didn't know what to expect. But once they met me, it's clear, exactly as you stated, I don't have a hidden agenda. I am very pragmatic. If a house is on fire, let's get water and put the fire out. If people are hungry, let's create a sustainable system to feed them. I am very much an action figure. I want things done. And people say, if you want things done, put it in Taylor Darling's hand and it's going to get done.
I love that. And I think it's perfect for the analogy you used, the house, because there was a epic housing proposal that was pushed forward from Governor Hochul that Long Island was just saying, this is no bueno. We don't like this. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to hear where your perspective was on this and your position of the good, the bad, the ugly, something different. What was your position on this as a state legislator?
My position on this as a state legislator was I was receiving the same calls and the same almost cries that the governor was receiving. We want our children to be able to move back to the communities that they were raised in. We want our seniors to be able to have the choice to retire in the community they invested in. And the way the housing market was structured at the time, we'd all have to be millionaires to be able to comfortably afford that and the exorbitant property taxes. So our governor was really just given this huge cry of help us. We need to make sure that people can live in the communities that they were raised in and have options. So I loved the intention of saying you should not have to be a millionaire to live in certain communities, right? We know that diversity is excellence. So let's see what we can do to make this an opportunity that's available to more individuals. Where I think we fell a little flat, especially in Long Island, is the potential removal of local control.
Right. That was key.
A lot of people move to the suburbs because they want more control. That is why they double down on property and school taxes so that they're able to attend those school board meetings. They're able to attend their village meetings, their town hall meetings, their county meetings. They have a say. They can meet their mayors, their county executives. It's a much more local control experience, especially when you are spending so much to live here for a certain quality of life.
You ensure your voice is heard.
Yeah, exactly. You want that, and you're paying for that. That's why you're paying for that, because you want that. So any threat to that is going to receive pushback. I have also heard from my constituents, they hate the phrase affordable housing. Or housing that's affordable. They hate it because
I hate it too. Because what the hell is affordable?
Because that, and if I feel like I'm living in a space where I can't afford to live, why do other people who just get to come here have affordable housing? And that is in our community because unfortunately, historically, whenever there's an influx of anyone that looks different or may not have as much money as the median income for people in Long Island, they are being placed in the communities that I serve. So I have homeowners. I'll tell you this story. I have an amazing homeowner in Freeport. She and her husband worked very hard to amass their primary home and 2 homes to rent out. They were doing well. That was how they were going to build generational wealth for their family. As soon as COVID hit, and we had protections and laws in place, obviously, because we were dealing with a crisis like no other, I'm getting calls from this woman who said, I think we're going to lose both of our houses. The individuals living there still work. They're still, earning a paycheck, but they know that there are protections here right now, so they don't have to pay. But I'm still expected to pay the property taxes on this home. So to see
mortgage.
Yes, to see this family of color take maybe 20 years step back, that was really hard for me. So I said, you know what? We need to have a bigger push towards home ownership that is income driven. Income driven home ownership sounds very different than affordable housing, because it sounds like these are new stakeholders, and stakeholders that could come from the community that's already here. I'm sure a lot of parents are sick of their kids living in the basement. I'm sure they would love to be able to say, you know what, your next birthday gift, we're going to put this down payment on a nice income driven home. So you're now a stakeholder. You have your own space, and we can resume our family dynamic where I see you on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right. And I think that's the way it be. I remember when we both joined the Ledge together. And for me, when I was always professing, was the idea of organic bottom-up solutions rather than top-down control, creating that from the ground up within that community that you wish to see from the housing proposals and all. I remember one of the episodes I had was with Larry Levy. He was a Dean of Suburban Studies in Hofstra. He's fantastic. And one of the things he said his intent was good. The carrot was good. That was enticing to create this goal. But the stick was the problem of it. Exactly what you're saying, to create the right solutions that are overall benefit Long Islanders and benefit specifically your constituents, which is who you're looking at with.
Exactly. And also just with the carrot and the stick, I feel like Long Island does a great job with pilot studies. I think everybody was kind of waiting around to see if someone would jump in and what would happen, how fast funding would come down, how fast, housing was built around transit stations, which definitely was great. So that, again, our young individuals could commute to the city and commute back, support the MTA with that, right? We wanted to see something happen. So in an ideal world, if I had full control of New York State, I think what I would do in Long Island is 2 pilot studies, one in Nassau County, one in Suffolk County. We'd follow it closely for 2 to 3 years, and we'd learn from that. And then we take it from there just to show that we are moving in that direction. Because think about it, there's already development in most areas already, right?
Yes.
So let's just see how this would work. The state pilot programs, that's what I would do in my ideal world.
I love that.
A lot of local involvement, community involvement.
Yeah, hearing from the constituents. How is you must have spoken or worked with the governor or the governor's office on this housing proposal. Have you been working with her in other facets as well?
100%. So infrastructure is very important, right? And when you knock doors or you're down, keeping your finger to the pulse of what's important in Long Island, you hear a common thread. And 2 of those threads are taxes and potholes.
Potholes.
So when our governor was mentioning her run for re-election and, calling us to see what we could do and how she could be supportive, I said, there are 2 things that I need more than anything. Buses for my Hempstead students who have never had district-wide busing, and pothole repair. Ironically, she called me while I was at Firestone. My campaign manager, Lee Sr., had just hit a pothole. We were at Firestone getting a $600 bill for that pothole. Now, this is a person who, supports herself and her family. $600 is not a walk in the park. That could be the difference between paying your mortgage and not paying your mortgage, which we know what those ramifications are for all of us as a collective. So when she found out, she has told this story in many rooms, and she said, you know what? I am going to tackle potholes. I said, you do it well, Long Island's going to be very excited. Over $400 million invested in pothole and roadway repair. The Southern State, the LIE, it has been tremendous. I hope everyone feels the difference, but we focus a lot on that type of infrastructure because, again, that is not a quick fix, but it's something that will make a major impact in people's lives.
And I think that's what's so awesome is that you were there who actually conveyed that thought to the governor and saying, that's what my constituents need.
Yeah.
And we got to do this.
We have to. And
we gotta do this.
Now the New York State pothole princess. I'll take
Pothole
it.
princess.
I'll take it. I don't make them. I solve them. I don't create them. I fill them.
She doesn't create them. She fills them.
Yes.
I love that.
Potholes.
That's a shout out to, it reminds me of Senator Alphonse D'Amato, who I work with, and he was known as the United States Senator from 1980 to 1998. He was Senator Pothole.
I love it.
And that's what, because he was about constituent issues from the ground up, literally, and fixing them.
Yes, it's an equalizer problem, and it's a tangible result. We do a lot of conceptual framework discussions and things like that.
Task force.
I like right, a million task force. I don't know what task get done, but I love to see those tangible results. I just want to recognize my team excellence. Wayne Hall Jr. loves a pothole. He drives around the whole district and beyond.
He loves
the southern state. He loves to fill them. He loves to identify. Please call him and not me for any of your pothole needs. No,
I love that, but that's incredible because you at least have that direct impact on people's lives, and you can at least see the difference. Like, hey, you complained about it, we filled them, we're good. So we made it in a macro way too by working with the state to show how the state can help Long Island as opposed to harm Long Island, specifically with the juxtaposition of the housing proposal versus the infrastructure funding here. But now you're getting into the macro issues, right? We talk about issues that are hitting the state, and you're seeing it now. It's a big problem. Is the migrant issue that's coming abroad. I mean, where is people are nervous about it in Long Island. People are concerned about it in Long Island with seeing what's happening in the city, where it's causing serious budget problems, serious health problems, serious safety problems. Where are you in the sense of now with that on Long Island?
Okay, so I want to say just for our community, the 18th Assembly District in New York State, this is not a new experience for us, right?
See?
So we've seen an influx of individuals from Central America, the Caribbean, and that really is kind of the fabric of our community. We definitely have Americans of African descent, and we have, of course, Caucasian people. But if I really had to think of our demographic and breakdown, for the first time, the census reflected that Hispanics now outnumber Black people in Assembly District 18. Huge
Which
shift.
Which is totally new.
Totally new. Never has happened before. So to say all that, I know that there are a lot of individuals who have family members that already have spaces here in Long Island. So there's always that kind of push to connect people to make the transition as easy as possible. And Mike, I'm just going to be 100% honest. God forbid I was facing some of these unthinkable conditions in other countries, and going to New York, this beacon of hope, was my only option for my family to do well. I'd be on a bus with my bags and my kids.
Why wouldn't you?
I would be on a bus. So here's the issue. These countries have large populations. We do not have an infinite amount of resources. We have New Yorkers who are suffering every day, who cannot find employment, who cannot find housing, who cannot find adequate mental health resources.
Yes.
So to hear my constituents have these issues, and then for them to hear how other states and other places in the country are saying, send everybody to New York, New Yorkers are clutching their purses like, no, we don't have it. We just don't have it right now. So what we really need is a lot more support from the federal government and better pathways to citizenship. Better pathways to citizenship is the way, because these individuals coming from all the different countries they're coming from, they just want opportunities and to do well for their families. I feel like if we have more federal support to have structures built to receive them and then allow them to become citizens. So now these are now stakeholders. These are not people who are perceived by many people in Long Island as having their hand out. Again, Long Islanders, if all of us were thriving, I think we would have a different approach to it. But a lot of us are having problems surviving. We are living paycheck to paycheck out here. So there really is this attitude of no room at the end unless there's some structure to receive them. So just working with the federal government, our federal partners, to figure out how we can deal with this, but throwing all of this on the state and the city, this is a disaster right now. It's really, really not a good situation, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it develops for 2024 and how the and the governor are going to have to handle this in the next session coming up. So now you have, speaking of 2024, is you're changing it up. You're going from the lower chamber to the upper chamber, the lower house to the upper house. You're going big now at this New York State Senate. So what's going on here? Where is this Senate district? Where's the location? And what type of towns you're looking at? And talk to me about how some of your priorities that now are going to shift, because you go from Assembly in 130,000 residents. Now you're going to the Senate, which is 350. Ooh. You're what, 2.5, 3x in it basically. This is a big deal, baby. Here we go. So
it is.
So what are we looking at in the sense of where the district now what it encompasses in the sense from Assembly to now Senate.
Definitely. So where we are right now, we are at a very historical place because we've never had a district where I believe someone who like me would even have a chance to represent us in the Senate. The lines were never drawn that way, right? So these lines have given more power to the minority communities, but also created this great bridge to other communities where we've existed next to them. Long Island is one of the most segregated places I've ever lived in my life. Like, I know people who have never had a teacher of color or been in class with a person of color. And I'm going to stress one more time, if diversity is excellence and we want our children to have it all, we need diversity. You don't want your child going out into the workforce, feeling unprepared because they have not had to work with individuals who were different from them. So I am now in a position to work hard, and should the voters choose me to represent them in the Senate, to build bridges, to say, hey, this is working really well over here. I would love to apply what's working well there over here, or we're having issues over here. How can we elevate that? Because we know that with the wage gap between minorities and Caucasian people, we've left over $24 billion on the table that could be circulating in Nassau County. Do you know what our county could be doing with $24 billion more dollars?
I would love more money in this county.
We all would. We need those revenue streams. So I feel like the big message right now is we're Long Islanders first. And if Long Island really understood what it was up against, as far as the rest of New York State, we would band together and get to know each other a little more because we know there's strength in numbers and our voices being unified, right? So some of the areas that I would be looking to represent in the 6th Senate District would be Baldwin, Carl Place, Freeport, Garden City, Hempstead, Lakeview, Mineola, Malvern, Newcastle, Oceanside, Rockville Center, Roosevelt, Uniondale, Westbury, and West Hempstead. Some of those areas are within some of those areas, but we've really been intentional about targeting because even within the areas, they're different areas. So we have to make sure that, one, our messaging resonates across all of these areas. But before we even get to messaging, we make new friends and we're on the doors. Like, I didn't create excellence for the 18th. Knocking doors allowed me to create that platform. So we're in a space to create a whole new platform. So I want to hear what Westbury's concerned about. I want to hear what Carl Place is concerned about. I want to hear what Baldwin's concerned about. And then I want to figure out what that looks like, come up with a really great platform, and we hit it and attack it the same way we've attacked everything we've delivered in the Assembly and then some.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, and there goes that unity messaging, where that's what people want to see in Nassau County really needs. I love this fact about Nassau County, which really expounds on your perspective with diversity. Nassau County would be a hub for political strategists and consultants as a bellwether for how the rest of the country does, but for its location in New York because of how diverse it is, and not only racially diverse, but also from economically diverse. Mm-hmm. It's incredible to see the different groups that are all within Nassau County, from rich to poor, from black to white. It's incredible to see that diversity within, and all the cultures, religious as well. I mean, you bring that in, it's amazing. And I find that fascinating how Nassau County would be a bellwether is a bellwether for the rest of the country, and politicians, presidential candidates would actually be in Nassau County stumping if it was in a quote-unquote purple state, which, by the way, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican. I still believe New York State is a purple state potential. We'll see what it is. But regardless, we'll see what the future holds on that end.
Yes, we will.
But what are some other issues that you'd really want to look at for as a senator that you'd really want to see if you could change that perhaps were getting stalled in the Assembly, or that would allow you a greater voice? Because now you're going from 150 members to now 63 in the Senate. So is there something in particular that you really wanted to change directly on the island or for the statewide that's been something that's more of a close to your heart?
Yes. I would say Nassau University Medical Center. Like, if I were able to really kind of like stabilize and make sure that they have a sustainable structure in place so that that hospital with all the talented nurses and doctors could really continue to grow and thrive as Nassau County's only public hospital.
Which people don't realize.
It's the only public hospital. It is an amazing trauma, has amazing trauma center. Like our firefighters, our police, they all depend. We have 2 helipads. Like if
Incredible.
the president, God forbid, was hurt, he has to come to Nassau University Medical Center. So all of that being said, I feel like ensuring that we have a lot less disparities in health equities and educational equities, we would really be able to rock and roll as an island. So if I had to put one thing on my list, it would be NUMIC.
You're looking at NUMIC for 2024 and then really 2025 once
Exactly.
after the election in the
Yes.
Senate.
NUMIC.
We're really rejuvenating it and revitalizing it.
100, and they're doing the work,
Yeah.
but just making sure that everything's landing, the impact is felt, and more than everything, that financially we don't have to have people working thinking they're not going to have a job in 2 months, and that's really the state that we're in right now. So it'd really be that focus, and then every other issue is going to come from us knocking the doors.
I love it.
I want the community to tell me what they want me to focus on.
That's fantastic. And I think that's going to be amazing to see how the feedback that you get from all the different communities, because it's so diverse, and what you're going to see the responses and how you're going to be able to react to each of them in order to provide them the representation that they are thirsting for.
Yep. And they deserve.
And they deserve, absolutely. Well, let me just say from the bottom of my heart, Assemblymember, future Senator Taylor Darling, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been exceptional and excellent to have you on.
I love it.
I really wanted to say thank you so much. This has been very heartwarming.
Thank you, Mike. Since day one, we've had a kindred spirit connection, because we're action figures. So we have a lot to do for Nassau County. So you will always have a friend and ally in me, so we can get things done.
And vice versa. I look forward to seeing what you're going to accomplish.
Thank you for having me. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.